Whoopsie daisy. I was recording this on the wrong device and ran out of space. So, part two of my thoughts, the Sea Dog, on AEW's Blood and Guts. Now, just to wrap up what I'm saying, the last one about Pac and Orange Cassidy. If Orange Cassidy beats Pac, which it's looking like it's going to happen to me, they better make it look believable. Because considering their history, and especially Pac, and looking at the two of them, I wouldn't think Orange Cassidy has a chance. But wrestling. But at least make it believable. Orange Cassidy and Pentagon did a pretty good job of that last week, even though I don't think Pentagon should be getting beat by Orange Cassidy, but I see what they're doing. They're building Cassidy up to challenge Omega. And I think he'll lose because, really, Cassidy's going to be your champion. But you never know. AEW does their thing. So, and then before AEW, the Blood and Guts match, there was Miro pretty much saying he's going to have a TNT title match next week. Earlier in the show, I was going to say Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky jumped Darby Allin, but Darby Allin actually attacked Ethan Page while they were getting interviewed. And for what he gets in his effort is getting thrown down some stairs. So, fast forward back to Miro, when they're talking about his title match next week. If Darby Allin can't make it, the title is forfeited over to Miro. And Miro doesn't want that, which I like. But now I feel like, oh my God, if Darby Allin beats Miro next week, I'm going to lose it. We were just talking about guys who, like, if you're going to make them beat the other guy, you better make it look believable. No. Especially after getting thrown down a flight of stairs. And you're going to make a big deal of it. And you're going to tell me Darby Allin's going to beat Miro. No. Which is really building up. They really have a great show next week. You have Daniels and Kazarian versus Young Bucks for the tag team titles. So either titles are going to change, or Daniels Kazarian team is just going to split for good. So something's going to happen with that. You also have Jon Moxley defending a New Japan title, the new NWJP or IWGP United States title versus Yuji Nagata. That's huge. You also have Miro versus Darby Allin. That's huge. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's something else. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now, but I'm more excited for that show than I was for Blood and Guts. But, Cody has an announcement about Double or Nothing, which will be interesting. I kind of think now it's going to be him and a Go-Go. Or maybe next week he's going to face a Go-Go, beat him, and then he'll have his announcement, which would be a waste of Anthony Ogogo. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm more excited about next week than I was for tonight, or for last night, for Blood and Guts. Now let's talk about the Blood and Guts match. We all knew going in, they didn't have a match like they usually do for like War Games. We'll have a match to see who has the advantage and the heels win. Usually Lethal Lockdown, same way. It's the same match, just different kind of cage and one ring instead of two when it comes to War Games and Lethal Lockdown and Blood and Guts. So Inner Circle had the disadvantage. He started out with, which surprised me, Dax Hardwood. I'm still trying to remember which one's which one's Cash and which one's Dax. But the bald one started against Sammy Guevara, which surprised me. I figured it'd be Shawn Spears because he's probably more athletic. Him and Guevara kind of been into it with each other. And plus, you're going to start the guy with the knee brace. So anyway, the match was pretty much your generic cage match spots, throwing a guy into the fence, trying to rub their face into the fence, throwing them over the ropes into the fence kind of stuff. Once Shawn Spears got in, there was a great spot with Spears and Guevara where they were up on the top rope. Now, I'm not talking about in the corner. I'm talking between the two rings, between the ring posts, in the middle on top of the ropes. And you have to see it. Guevara pulls off a Spanish fly to Spears. And it was awesome, and the crowd got pumped, and everything is hyped. The only problem is they kept going to commercials. They did the picture-in-picture, but, I mean, maybe it's just me. Every time they go to picture-in-picture, it takes me out. Especially, it takes me out of the match. I mean, sometimes it's fine. But, yeah, especially in this Blood and Guts match, I think what they should have done is just have, like, a little extra long break right before Blood and Guts, and then put somewhere in the corner ads. And like, oh, Pepsi. And then, 3 minutes later, oh, some show on TNT. And then 3 minutes later, IBM or whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to think of Old Spice. Whatever. I think that would have been better. Stop taking me out of the match. I want to see everybody when they first come in the match. Because every time someone first comes in the match and starts clearing house, that's interesting. When things slow down, that's when it's not so much interesting. So anyway, like most of these alternating entrance team war cage matches, like Lethal Lockdown, War Games, Blood and Guts, they just, alternate, blah, blah, blah. And then finally the last member comes in and then the match really starts. Here's the problem. They messed up with it. They wanted to have that one team in their ring looking across at their opponents who's on their own side or their own ring. And they're setting that up. The only problem was, I believe it was Santana was on the Pinnacle side of the ring, and not just in their ring. He was on the opposite side of Inner Circle, like as far away from the Inner Circle's ring as possible, up against the fence. Looked like he was half dead, and it just is dumb when they're like, grab Santana and they drag him and they throw him back to his guys. I mean, maybe you want to argue, it's like, well, they just didn't want a guy behind them, flanking them or whatever. Like, yeah, but nah, I don't buy that. They just, we want to have this spot. It wasn't very organic, let's say that. So then they have their little stare down, and then they attack each other. A hockey fight breaks out, and then there's few okay spots. And then finally, MJF escapes the ring thanks to Tully Blanchard, and Jericho goes chasing him, and they're at the top of the cage, and Jericho puts on the lion tamer, or whatever, Walls of Jericho, whatever you want to call it, and then MJF puts on the Salt of the Earth armbar, and then they're fighting, and then MJF has Jericho at the edge of the fence, edge of the top of the cage, which Jericho, like, you could see Jericho talking to him, and, like, not totally out of it, but then MJF is like, you guys surrender, or I'll throw him off. And then Jericho's like, oh, now I'm totally out of it. Oh. And then Inner Circle surrenders, and then MJF ends up throwing him off the cage anyway, surprise, onto the concrete stage, I believe they kept saying, which really was pretty much a bunch of square panels that looked like they were made from the top of, entrance stairs, that kind of steel, and underneath was a mat. So when he goes into it, it's like, yeah, hitting those steel plates probably hurts. But obviously there's a mat underneath. They did not do a good job of hiding it. It brought back memories of exploding death wire, or exploding barbed wire death matches that don't explode at the time limit. So I really wasn't impressed that much. It will be interesting to see where Inner Circle goes from here. Pinnacle will move on and aim their sights higher, I'm sure. I'm wondering if Sammy or Jake Hagar or maybe Ortiz or Santana will kind of take lead of Inner Circle. Jericho will be gone for a little bit, and then you'll have a new issue of Jericho coming back to take back over Inner Circle, and Inner Circle kind of has a new leader, and they're like, yeah, maybe we don't need you because you're why we lost Blood and Guts. So I don't know, we'll see how that goes. But to be honest, to rank Blood and Guts first every NXT War Games match, I would put it below every NXT War Games match. And I'm not like an NXT mark where I like NXT. I'm going to say, oh, yeah, it's always NXT over AEW. But in this case, yeah. But yeah, those are the thoughts. Those are my thoughts on Blood and Guts. I'm very excited to see the show tomorrow or next week. And we'll see how Double or Nothing builds. So, yeah, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, follow, whatever Back to Brag Sports has you guys doing. Woof. Bye.